Ever wondered how a man so young could conquer 3 continents? Ever wondered how Alexander the Great outmaneuvered his enemies? Join us as we uncover the genius tactics that made him one of history's greatest military minds. Get ready to be amazed by the unmatched journey of Alexander the Great from Greece to India. Did you know that in ancient times there was a war between Athens and Sparta? Well, there was. And it was so intense that it has become a thing of legend, with each side taking turns in destroying the other. But in the end, it was neither Athens nor Sparta that would go down in history for winning this war. It was Thebes who took the crown back in 371 BC. This victory changed the course of ancient Greek history, and no one saw it coming. The Battle of Leuctra is what ultimately led to the decline of Spartan power. But it wasn't just any battle. Oh no, sir. It was an ambush. You heard that right. The Theban army, led by the legendary Epaminondas, outmaneuvered the Spartans and taught them a lesson they would unforget. You see, the Spartans were arrogant and thought they were invincible after winning several battles against other Greek city-states. They underestimated their opponents and paid the price. But hey, even the great Alexander the Great had to learn this lesson the hard way. As a young prince, he looked up to the legendary heroes of Greece, like Heracles, Theseus, and Odysseus. But when he ascended to the throne at the age of 20, he found himself facing opposition from his own father's allies. Talk about a tough crowd. You might have seen the Disney movie where King Philip was assassinated at the wedding of Alexander and his sister. That scene has been depicted in numerous paintings over the years, but most of them got one key detail wrong. In reality, Alexander was only 20 years old when he became king, not a small child like in the movie. And let's just say he didn't take the news of his father's murder lying down. With the help of his close friend and bodyguard Ptolemy, Alexander hunted down the assassins, found them guilty, and punished them. He showed mercy to those who confessed, but ordered the death of those who denied their involvement. And guess what? His actions didn't go unnoticed. Some people loved him for it, while others hated him for it. But one thing was for sure, Alexander knew how to make a grand entrance. He solidified his power in Greece and built a reputation for being both ruthless and decisive. So much so that even his own mother, Olympias, feared him. She had once been banished from the kingdom, and she was always trying to get back into Philip's good graces. But now she had to deal with her son, the new king. The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. But here's the kicker. Alexander was planning something big, something that would change history forever. He wanted to conquer the Persian Empire. Now, you might think that's crazy, but hear me out. This wasn't some small local conflict we're talking about. We're talking about a massive empire that stretched from the Balkans to Pakistan. But Alexander had a plan, and he was sticking to it. He assembled a team of the brightest minds in Greece, including Aristotle, the famous philosopher, and made them tutors for his young son. He surrounded himself with loyal friends from all over the known world, forming an elite group of soldiers, scholars, and diplomats who shared his thirst for adventure and knowledge. This diverse group of misfits would become known as the Companion Army, and they would go on to achieve what no other army had ever done before. They would travel over 18,000 miles across 3 continents, fight against some of the most powerful armies in the known world, and establish one of the largest empires in history. But how did they do it? How did Alexander the Great defeat his enemies? Well, that's what we're here to tell you. Alexander's first order of business was to deal with the Persians once and for all. You see, the Persians had been a thorn in the side of the Greeks for years, and Alexander wanted to put an end to that. But he wasn't just motivated by revenge. No, sir. He had a bigger vision in mind. He wanted to connect the cultures of Greece and India and create a world where people from different lands could trade and learn from each other. And let's just say he had a pretty impressive track record. Before setting out on his grand journey, he had already defeated the rebellious Thracians and the powerful kingdom of Macedon. He also formed alliances with other Greek city-states, which gave him control over a massive army of over 20,000 troops. But even with all these advantages, Alexander knew that going to war with the Persians would be no easy feat. They had a large and experienced army, not to mention a powerful navy. But Alexander was undeterred. He studied the art of war, trained his troops, and made sure his supply lines were secure. And when he finally crossed into Persian territory in 334 BC, he wasted no time in making an example of the Persian forces. He met them at the Battle of the Granicus River, and came out on top, thanks to his use of cavalry charges. It was a stunning victory that sent shockwaves throughout the empire. Word spread like wildfire of the invincible Macedonian army, led by their brilliant young king. And as Alexander continued his campaign, more and more Persians flocked to his banner, eager to escape the tyranny of their own leaders. As he marched deeper into Persia, he faced tougher and tougher opponents, like the elite immortals, an elite guard of King Darius III. But Alexander's determination never wavered. He used hit-and-run tactics to weaken the immortals and then ambush them when they least expected it. The result was a decisive victory for the Macedonians, and Alexander was hailed as a hero by the grateful Persians he had freed. But Alexander's ambitions didn't stop there. He wanted to go beyond the borders of the known world and explore the vast lands to the east. And so he pressed on, crossing the Hindu Kush Mountains and the Indus River. Along the way, he defeated the Bactrian and Sogdian kings and forged alliances with local rulers who admired his courage and determination. But as Alexander ventured further into India, he encountered fierce resistance from the Raja of Poros. Despite being outnumbered, Alexander's army fought bravely, and in the end, they emerged victorious. But it was a costly victory. Many of his men had lost their lives, and he himself had been wounded. But despite the losses, Alexander's journey to India was a resounding success. He had proved that the Macedonian army was truly invincible, and he had expanded his empire to the farthest reaches of the known world. Throughout his journey, Alexander had shown incredible military genius, tactical skill, and sheer determination. But perhaps his greatest accomplishment was the respect and admiration he had earned from his enemies. Despite the many battles he had fought, Alexander had made many lifelong friends along the way. He had learned that the world was a big place with many different cultures and peoples, and he had embraced it all with open arms. He had founded new cities, promoted trade and commerce, and left a lasting legacy of peace and prosperity wherever he went. When he finally returned to Macedonia, he was greeted as a hero, but he knew that his journey was not over, and there were still threats to his empire, and he would spend his remaining days defending it from invaders. Sadly, his time as king was cut short when he died of malaria at the age of 32, but his legacy lived on. Alexander's empire may have crumbled after his death, but his spirit of adventure and love of knowledge continued to inspire people for centuries to come. And let's just say his legend only grew with time. Throughout history, there have been many great military commanders, but Alexander the Great truly stood out. His tactics were unmatched. He was able to read the battlefield like a book and predict his opponent's moves before they even made them. But it wasn't just his military skills that made him great. It was also his ability to inspire his troops and win the support of the people he conquered. Alexander was known for his charisma and his ability to make others believe in his vision. Take, for example, his famous speech before the Battle of Thermopylae. With only 300 Spartans at his command, he rallied his troops and told them, "Come, men of Sparta, this day is yours to write in history with the blood of your enemies." And who can forget his cunning strategy at the Battle of the Trebia? Against all odds, he managed to defeat Hannibal's army by exploiting the terrain and using his knowledge of enemy tactics. Alexander's journey was a long and arduous one, but he never gave up. He pushed himself and his troops to the limit, and in the process, they achieved the impossible. They traveled through treacherous mountain passes, fought against fierce opponents, and endured harsh weather conditions. But they never lost sight of their goal, and let's not forget Alexander's love of learning. He was known for his vast knowledge of history, philosophy, and science. He was a patron of the arts and a collector of rare books and artifacts. In fact, he founded the Museum of Alexandria, one of the largest and most comprehensive libraries of the ancient world. So there you have it, the genius tactics that made Alexander the Great one of history's greatest military minds. From his early victories in Greece to his epic journey to India, Alexander's story is a testament to human potential. He was a brilliant strategist, a charismatic leader, and a lover of knowledge. His life and accomplishments continue to inspire awe and wonder in those who study him today. Thank you for joining us on this journey through time. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We've got plenty more historical tales waiting for you.